I don't have to tell you that I might be losing my job, or I don't have to talk one more time about how's cancer treatment going. I'm here to celebrate someone else. The privilege that we have for delivering a space for everybody to gather and celebrate is a privilege that we never should take for granted. But I think in this industry, we get so caught up in the, well, that person pissed me off, or that person didn't do this, or that one person is going to make me get a bad review now.
Hey everybody, this is Eddie Babbage, founder, CEO of Timeline Genius, your host here of the Wedding Industry Insider Podcast. I'm back with another fantastic episode. I'm here with Bobbi Brinkman, the founder of Bobbi Brinkman LLC, aka the Motivated to be FABBO brand. Bobbi has 42 years of experience in our industry. She's a keynote speaker, MC, and wedding industry educator. Bobbi, thank you so much for agreeing to come on and do this interview today.
Oh my gosh, Eddie, I'm so glad to be here. As we talked a little bit earlier, our paths have crossed at several conventions and several other industry things. But even when I sit and talk to people, they go, well, you know Eddie, right? I'm like, no, he just went by. I went by. We might wave at each other, but I've never had the pleasure of talking face to face, virtually or in person with you. So I was super excited. And of course, I could say yes to you. How do I say no to you? You are standing, and you're setting an industry too. And here in the industry, you set a good tone for sharing information that's not a lot of fluff. And somebody who does motivation and mindset, I get fluff a lot, but you are putting out podcast episodes that are directly elevating and helping people take those steps to build a career. And I love the fact that it's that middle, that 3 to 7, 3 to 5, that sweet spot where so many people
Yeah.
say, I'm out of here. And you're helping them want to
Yeah.
stay. So we appreciate that.
Yeah, right back at you, Bobbi. Right from the moment we started the pre-interview, and just to kind of give people a sense for where we're going with this episode, we are going to talk about mindset and motivation. And anybody who thinks that's fluff, I respectfully say, keep your mind open.
Yep.
And you regard these topics as fluff at your own peril and risk,
Yep.
because I was telling you in the pre-interview, Bobbi, and I love talking about this stuff. I'm a motivation mindset, I read everything I can get my hands on. And, a lot of people, they'll be like, oh, that's fluffy. Just think positively. But at this point in my career, I just don't think there's anything more important, than
Exactly.
if you don't have the right mindset, you're not going to say the right things, you're not going to do the right things, and you're not going to get the results that you want. So
And how
before
do
we
you
get
ask
into,
people,
yeah,
right? How do you ask people to invest in you, whether you're a venue owner or you're the hair and makeup person? How do you ask people to invest in you if you don't believe in what you're doing? And if they can't see that enthusiasm, if they can't see that passion, then why would they give you their hard-earned money, right? This industry is already hard enough because we, as an industry, promise perfection, which is something we should talk about, setting yourself up for failure, right? But the mindset that you can deliver extraordinary events, whatever niche you're in, if you don't believe in yourself to ask for that money, and then I think it goes to, Eddie, how people treat you in this industry as well as clients. If you don't treat yourself right and believe in yourself, then others, that's a reflection of how you're asking to be treated. And if you want to build a career, and I do believe you can have an amazing FABBO career in this industry, you have to believe that you're capable of doing what it is that you have. You have the gifts. Now believe that you are here to use them for the greater good and bringing people together on a really important day, not the best day, but a really important day. And you have to believe that you're able to do that so people will invest in you. Hence, there's the snowball of your career taking place.
yeah, no, it's so true, Bobbi, so true. I'm really excited for this chat again. Like seriously, and I'm sure this will continue to kind of come out over the course of this interview. But it
Yeah.
really is just a passion topic for me. Before we kind of get into the nuts and bolts here, and hopefully help people level up their mindset and their self confidence and their
Yep.
motivation. Would you mind just sharing a little bit about your background, Bobbi, how you got to be where you currently are and got to be doing what you're currently doing?
Sure. I it's no secret. I have a learning disability, and when I speak from stages, it often comes out. I stutter, and I had to overcome that stuttering, and I'm severely dyslexic. So when I was in school and everything, it just didn't work for me. I didn't like school. And I knew I needed to find a way to do something else. And I fell in love with photography at a very early age. There's photos of me when I'm 7 and 8 holding a camera. And there was something about telling somebody's story. I didn't know what story or who it was, but there was something about it. And I found that with this camera, I could let it do my speaking. I didn't have to worry about stuttering. I didn't have to worry about reading anything. And back in the day, we had film, little thing called film. You put in the camera, I know
Yeah,
a lot of your
yeah,
listeners might go, film, what's that, right? But
yeah, man.
it's
Bringing back
backwards.
memories.
Exactly. So the image was backwards. So that helped me tremendously with my learning disability. And it
Mm,
just kept spiraling and spiraling to where, I was a junior in high school and I was like, this high school thing's just not for me. I'm going to drop out. I don't want to go. And the photography teacher said, what if I could find you a way to really exceed at your talent? You're really good. What if
mm.
we could find a way to get you a job? Would you promise to stay in high school? Just so happens that his wife was the English teacher who had failed me all the time because I'm not going to be able to read. And if you ask me questions, let's face it, I'm a genius, right? If you ask me a question, I can give you the answer. But if you want me to read it and respond and write, not going to happen. And I'm sure there's listeners that struggle with this or have kids that struggle with it or somebody they know struggles with this. So he promised that if I could get a job, and I said if I could get a job and I could do things around school. So I became the yearbook photographer, I became the yearbook editor, I became all the sports photographers. And this is when I'm like 15, 14, 15, right around that 16 years. And I got a job at the newspaper covering sports. And within 3 weeks of being there, I was above the fold with a massive photo. I knew
Wow,
that this was my rhythm, but I also
wow.
knew that I wasn't going to be able to continue a career like this through normal education. I hung with him. He gave me my first job. He started letting me do commercial work. I worked at the newspaper. I kept getting printed and everything that eventually led me to be seen by several sports teams, collegiate and professional. And I became one of the first women photographers in NHL. I became one of the first women photographers that covered a lot of basketball. So I covered in St. Louis, I covered all the local sports. Then I became doing professional sports, covered Mark McGuire,
Oh,
lots of the
wow.
professional names that you see now back in the day photos were mine. And I'm very blessed with opportunity. But that getting the trust and learning that with those clients, they started asking me to do things for their family. They started asking me, hey, I have a family reunion, or we trust you. We know you have our best interests at heart. And I wasn't going to go talking about it pre social media. Can you imagine now? And so I eventually started doing athletes' weddings and it just parachuted. And I knew that I could have a sports career playing sports in hockey and in softball. Got a couple of nods to try out for the Olympics, but I was way ahead of my time. Women's hockey is just now coming into play. We now have professional hockey. I was before my time. So I did get injured. And so I thought, what can I do? Here's my sports. I love telling stories. I'm still involved in sports, but that sports entry into being a photographer for years. I was doing weddings all along the line. Got my first wedding at 16 for an athlete. Not going to lie, I charged a whopping $1,000 for it. Did not charge enough because when I went to the lab to pick up the film, the bill was stronger and more than that. And my dad at the time, who was still alive, set me down and said, so you know you have to charge more, right? You have to at least cover your cost if you want to be this artist, right?
Right, right.
So it just paralleled into my
Yeah,
sports and my weddings kept going together, and I married those together and still was a predominant sports photographer, started doing more and more weddings. And then eventually, with my injury, I had to come away from the sports side because legally their contracts and insurances wouldn't allow my injury to be part on the sidelines. But I continued on with the weddings and until last March when I photographed my last wedding for somebody up
wow.
in New York, but it was a local wedding more in the Midwest, and they got married there, and that was my final. And ironically, I photographed her first wedding, and her husband tragically died, and she called me back to meet the new love of her life. And I thought that was a very fitting way for me to
Yeah,
be able to make my exit because again, it's 42 years, and as keeping that sports momentum going, I knew I wanted to end it when my career was at a high. I built a 7-figure career and had a team, and I knew I wanted to exit, and I knew it was time to exit. My health and my injury was starting to affect what I was doing. And I did not ever want to put my clients in a position where I couldn't deliver the best of myself. So I knew my heart was like, Bob, you still got a few more years. You're only 62. You got a few more years. My mind and that business sense was like, end your career now where you're proud of it, where you have a legacy that you have built and you can continue doing. So about 3 or 4 years when COVID, before COVID, things were different, but during COVID, I just started, I'm really going to start talking. People started asking me to come and share. And it just now paralleled. And I do believe this is my calling for the next season is to continue to empower, especially women in sports, not just athletes, but those that are behind the scenes and just entrepreneurs who maybe didn't have somebody in their life or don't have somebody in their life that can say you can do it. Like I had back in high school, they said, you have a talent. Let's find the best way to use it. You're not learning like this, but let's not squash that talent. So I want to be that for people who may not have that. And I want to do that through mindset and motivation and momentum. As fluffy as it is, you have got to be your biggest cheerleader. You've got to be your own hero. That's what landed me talking to you today and on stages in and out of the industry. And I'm honored and privileged, and I don't ever take it for granted that I have a platform to use where I can encourage others to be the best version of themselves and to not listen to the noise, not listen to people say you can't do something because of, but do it in spite of.
Where's it come from, Bobby? Like what got you specifically into the fields of like mindset and motivation?
I think because along the way, I knew I could do something. I knew it was me. I may not have seen it the way others saw it, like even in the classroom. And I knew I knew I wasn't going to go to college and get some big massive photo degree or a business degree. However, I highly recommend that if you go into business, make sure you have financial education and a business side of it as well. Because passion will take you a long way, but you still have to have that business sense. So I knew that I had to believe in myself that, okay, here's my gifts. How do I best use them? I grew my confidence, not cockiness. I say that all the time because sometimes, especially in this industry, we have some big personalities. And I know that people go, well, they're just cocky. No, they're just confident. They know what they know how to do and they want to share that. And I knew that I had to do that for myself, as I mentioned earlier. If I didn't believe I could deliver this group of photography, or if I couldn't deliver this story, because I'm all about the story behind the photography. And on wedding day, that's a privilege photographers have. We get to capture everybody else's work and everybody else's talent and then put it all together and deliver that to the client in one big cohesive story. But if I didn't believe I could do that, despite my obstacles of not sometimes being able to understand what somebody was asking me, or if you handed me a sheet of paper, I couldn't read it all the way. I had to learn to adapt. And I know that others struggle with different neurodivergencies or just they struggle in a different way. And I just wanted to dig deep and say, hey, look, we'll figure out how you can do it. I'm not going to do the work for you, but I've not been exactly in your shoes. But I know what it's like to have others say, you're just not going to be able to do that. Go find something simple to do. You'll never be able to support yourself. Yes, you can. There's ways, and you train your mind, you retrain your brain, and you stop telling all those falseness to yourself. You have to talk positively to yourself because if you say you can do something, Eddie, you can do it. If you say you can't, you won't. You know that old
I do.
slogan.
Yeah, Henry Ford.
Henry
Yeah,
Ford.
I'll tell you, Bobby. This again is just such a near and dear topic for me. I have a 10-year-old just turned 10, and he plays competitive chess, and we actually hired like a mindset coach for
Mhm.
him because it's like I feel like with children sometimes we see the core aspects of like human nature and the human psyche laid bare because they
Right.
don't yet have all the scaffolding and like all the narratives and stuff built on top to kind of hide these like core things. And like, it's just so interesting. Like he'll go into play and I'm like, not even half of what you're doing is like the like hard sort of skills of the
Right.
game, which obviously are important. If you don't know your openings, if you're not tactically sound, if you don't know your end games, like there are all these things that you really do need to know. But at the end of the day, if you show up, and this is why I love like chess forum, it's not just like the beauty of the game, which it is. It's an amazing, beautiful game, but like if you show up for a match and you don't think you can win,
Right.
you're in trouble. And
Yeah.
that's just like a bit of a random example. But I find, I listen to you talking about like self talk. There's a book called I think it's What to Say When You Talk to Yourself by
Yeah.
Shad Helmstetter. You
Yeah.
familiar?
Yeah.
We've read that book together. Like, it's so important, and it can slide under our radar. I think the really pernicious thing is sometimes we're not at a meta level even aware of these thoughts that our mind is having that are completely shaping our destiny. I don't know. Like, what are your sort of thoughts, just to delve a little further into the power of self-talk? Like, what are your thoughts on self-talk and why that's important and how you can manage it?
Well, and imagine you're a wedding planner, right? Let's keep it within the context of our
Right on.
industry. So you're
Yes.
a wedding planner, and you now get to on Saturday go to this event that, let's just say, you've been working with this client for 18 months, 1 year, 6 months, and now Saturday gets here. If you are not excited to go and serve your clients on Saturday, where were the red flags all along the line? So now you have to wake up that Saturday morning and you're driving in your car and you have to say to yourself, today is going to be a great day. It's not going to be perfect because humans are hiring humans to do human things, right? Humans are getting married and we have to provide. There's no such thing as perfect. But
Right.
instead of saying to yourself, I know today won't be perfect. What can go wrong today? Okay, I'm getting in my car. I wonder who's not going to show up today. No, stop that. You're going to look in the mirror. You're going to say, today's going to be a great day. I'm going to show up. I'm going to show up authentically. I'm going to give the best self. I'm going to show off. And the team that we've assembled, I'm the wedding planner. And today is going to unfold as it unfolds, but I'm going to give it the best that I can give it. Then I want to encourage you as planners, actually what any niche you're in, and I want you to get to that wedding. And at the very beginning, I want you to remember, I want you to dive in deep. And I want you to go, remember when they called you. Remember when they signed that check. Remember when you got that retainer. Remember when you started designing on paper and they were like, oh my gosh, I love this. And then you started bringing all the other wedding vendors in to make the wedding day team. And I want you to visualize that and see that. And then you do that and your whole day will unfold so much differently because you are ready, you're experienced, and you didn't have plan B, C, and D because you think something might went wrong. You have plan B, C, and D because you're prepared to deliver confidently what you know how to do. And when you start talking to yourself like that, today is going to be the best day it can be because
Yeah.
I'm showing up.
Yeah.
If you start driving to the wedding going, gosh, I wonder what's going to go wrong today, or you let that first stoplight that you
Yeah.
didn't make, and you're like, gosh, now I'm
Yeah.
going to be 5 minutes late. Stop
Yeah.
talking about the negative, talk about the positive. And again, not in a cocky, conceited way, like you're the only one that can do this. But guess what, friends? You're the only one that can do this for your client. They hired you because of who you are, what you know how to do, and that secret sauce that you are. That's
Yeah.
why they hired you. So you have to think. And at the end of the day, I guarantee you, Eddie, and I'm sure as part of Timeline Genius, you probably hear these things. I get to the end of the day, and one person walked up and said, God, that shrimp was cold. And
Yeah.
you just let that run your
Yeah.
whole day. So then we
Yeah.
go to people like you for tech and go, I want the easiest timeline possible so I can make sure that the shrimp goes out where it won't be cold. You didn't cook the
Right.
shrimp. You didn't prepare the shrimp. The person didn't have a bad day. It might have just been cold shrimp. You cannot let that one thing derail you from believing in what you know how to do and that you're the expert and we're the best person for the job. So you have to leave it all there. And you have to get in your car, then think about it on the way home. Think about to go ahead and pull out your phone. It's what I used to do. Pull out my phone and go through everything that happened today, the good, the bad, the ugly. And then you share that with your team for, hey, this is what we did, but this could have been a little bit better. We can improve it here, but it wasn't wrong. That's the positive talk to yourself from
Yeah.
the minute that you get hired to the
Yeah.
minute you walk off that wedding and
Yeah.
everything in between. And if you
That's
act that
beautiful.
way and talk that way and believe that way,
Yeah.
everybody on that wedding day will treat you with that same amount of respect because, hey, you're confident in what you're doing. I have my timeline. I have everything ready to go. This is
Yeah.
what's going to
Yeah.
work. Right. And you have to trust that people are going to show up and do the best. And guess what? On that day, they gave you the best that they had. In your mind, it might not have been the best that it could have been, but they showed up and gave you the best. And when you start believing in that and seeing that, you'll be surprised how all these wedding pros will start showing up just a little bit extra for you because they don't want to let you down because you are empowering them to do the best that they can do.
As a wedding planner, you know how important it is to create detailed wedding day timelines for your events. But creating your timelines can be a tedious and time-consuming job. Until now. Because Timeline Genius lets you create beautiful, detailed wedding day timelines with ease. And it keeps everything you need on the wedding day in one central place. Here's how it works. First, Timeline Genius saves all your clients, vendors, and venues in your Rolodex, so you don't lose time looking for their information. And when you're ready to create a new timeline, you simply enter the key information for your wedding. Click a button, and voila! Timeline Genius magically gives you a customized timeline for your event, where all the details are laid out and the times are calculated for you. From there, you can easily edit your timeline by adding or deleting items, inserting images, changing font styles, and customizing everything to your liking. You can also instantly shift the times for as many items as you want. And when it comes to your clients and vendors, Timeline Genius lets you give them the highest level of service. You can send them tailored timelines, showing only the items they're involved in. And you can collaborate by inviting them to a mobile-friendly, web-based version of the timeline. You can even set text message reminders to automatically go out on the wedding day. And once you've completed your perfect timeline, you can download it or email it out as a beautifully styled PDF. And that's Timeline Genius, a smart software that will help take your wedding planning to the next level. Start your free trial today.
And so that's really cool, uplifting, and beautiful, Bobby. I think that you ever listen to Steve Harvey? He's got these like sort of motivational videos. I love them.
No.
Like I never even knew that he was like into kind of like motivational speaking stuff. But he's got this one where he says he's like, we all have a foreman in our minds, and there's like kind of like two factories. He's like, you
Yep.
can either, he's like, if you get up and you start complaining, like he's like the foreman will shout out like, hey everybody, speaking to the subconscious mind,
Right.
just this powerful, like, the conscious mind's the golf ball, the subconscious mind is the beach ball. He's like, the foreman breaks out the megaphone's like, hey everybody, Steve's having a bad day today, you got that? And he's like, we got it, the factory's going to work, we're going to make sure that all of the things happen that are consistent. Right. This is a bad day, got it? And conversely, that you can wake up and send that sort of that positive announcement. No, today's going to be a good day. I'm excited about like what I've got. Exactly what you're saying, that sort of talk. But I just feel like it's so, there are a lot of challenges in maintaining, a positive mindset, especially as an entrepreneur. I think one of the challenges is sometimes we're not even aware when our minds are thinking these like self-limiting beliefs. Like, how do you kind of catch yourself when your mind is in that state, and then how do you sort of redirect it to in a positive way?
Well, it kind of goes back to when a client calls you on the phone, or they fill out your email form or your website form, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. And then of course, as we do in 2024, we immediately go scrolling and finding what we can find out about them. And then you're so excited, but maybe there's one thing on there. Maybe there's something that they do or something they support that all of a sudden may not align with your core values, or may not resonate with you in a way that it resonates. And so all of a sudden you start thinking, okay, well, I don't want to work with them because of this, this, and this, or I don't want to work with them because this, and this. And there's some truth into that, but that right away is that negativity that creeps in. It's giving you a negative about the client before you've even reached them, before you've set up that meeting with them, and before they've had an opportunity to also share. So I think in the wedding industry, we get a preconceived notion about who our clients are before they even come in the door. And there's some truth behind that, Eddie. That's some good research, right? But is it the be-all, end-all research? Remember, we are interviewing them as much as they're interviewing us. So now they come in and have a consultation. And if you're sitting there, and again, friends, lean in, listen, be present. But don't always just talk about business. Talk about, what about this venue? Tell me about, what was it? Did you go on a trip somewhere? What about this venue makes you love this venue? And you're going to get some underlying things in there. And as they're talking, you're listening, you should be thinking, that's a good point. Oh, I'm excited about that. Oh, here's something that might not be something that aligns with me, but I'm going to put it over here and let it sit and park it for a little bit. And then as they're talking and they're sharing, you get this relationship going. On the off chance that they say, we all know the dreaded, I'm going to go in a different direction. You did not lose that client because it wasn't meant for you. That client was not meant for you. So I think it's so easy when we sit in consults or we build ourselves up before somebody comes. And even though we've done some research, we should be glad that that client passed on us, because that no stands for next opportunity. A better fit, somebody that we can better serve will come along. But we have to sit at these meetings and these consultations, whether it's phone or in person, and believe that we are the right person for the job, instead of, oh my gosh, they're having 500 people. I've never done a 500 person wedding. What
Yeah.
if, and all of a sudden
Yeah.
your mind goes over here and you're not even hearing what they're saying to you. And you might be missing that the reason we want to hire you, Eddie, is because we have heard that you did Susie's wedding and she had 350 people and you handled it so effortlessly. We knew that we had to hire you, Eddie, because we're having 500 people and we believe that this will help elevate you and you can help elevate us. Listen to the little things that are the positives that help you run, and don't get so brought down on if somebody says one thing and your mind starts wondering. Don't wonder. During these interviews, don't wonder.
Yeah.
Know that you're the right person for the job if they are saying the things that align with your core values and that you can get behind and that you confidently can know that you can handle. On the same token, be brave enough to say, oh, 1,000 people, I really don't feel comfortable. I don't believe I can serve you the best, but I can find some friends in the industry that might be familiar with 1,000. That's not a negative talk. That's being proactive. That's being a big adult business owner to know that you cannot serve and you're not setting yourself up for failure. You're setting your client up for success and your other vendor colleague for success. And guess what? That will come back to you twofold, because that person will remember that you were honest and that you did not take a job where you could not deliver, and then you not for a whole year now are not worried about how you're going to do something. You're going to be able to book the jobs that you're aligned for, book the jobs that you can exceed at, and book the jobs that are going to continue to grow your business, because your clients should be the foundation of how you grow your business. Let them do the work for you. Let them be the ones that are shouting your praises. You can go on social media all day long, but the foundation of your business should be let your clients and fellow colleagues help you build those walls. And that's how you keep that negativity down, because you're watching it in front of you. You're watching
Yeah.
your business grow. And so you're seeing the results, again, not from that place of conceit or ego, but you're seeing it brick by brick by brick, because you're not letting those things enter in and you don't wonder so far down a rabbit hole of what you can't do. What about all the fabulous things that you can do with this? Not the negative things. Oh my gosh, 500 people right off the bat. Instead of going, I can't do that, oh my gosh, how fun will it be to do 3 different services, 3 different food stations, think about the creative things that you know how to do, and flip that switch. Get that negative Nancy out of your freaking head.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard.
It's really, really hard. And I think, as you're talking, Bobby, I'm constantly just like putting myself in the shoes of our audience right now. And I mean, we all know, right? Like how hard it is to fight against the negative sort of
Mhm.
currents, especially when they really start getting in there and moving quickly, and the mind is just, throwing these thoughts up. And so much of it, I think, too, like, is just like our past conditioning, like all the
Yep.
way back to childhood, everything we've learned, everything we've experienced. There's this sort of tape loop that's playing in our
Yep.
head that is very much the product of our past experience. Um, are there any trainings or exercises or books or programs? Like, what are the things that you've done in your life, Bobby, that have helped you the most in getting better at keeping your mind on channel positive?
Bluntly, survival. How was I going to take care of myself? I can
Right,
read all the books. You can
right,
listen to my podcast. You can listen to
right,
your podcast. I have
right.
a weekly podcast that's free. It's weekly pep talks. I come in for 5 minutes or less, and it's audio, of course, because that's
Yep,
how I learn better.
yep,
And it's just 5 minutes. So if you go on there and I'm talking about a strategy or a business thing that you might be struggling with, and it's just that 5 minutes. And I think I really want our audience, and I want your audience, and I want the listeners that tune into you to really hear that I am not telling you, neither is Eddie, that mindset is that one all pill. That motivation is not that. You are led by motivation by failure or by success. Which
yeah,
one do you want to follow? right?
Yeah.
And fear sets in. This is an industry that is so competitive, and we all look at what everybody else is doing, and we all get really, oh my gosh, Susan has just booked this wedding at this brand new venue. I can't even get the farm one, or I can't even get the VFW. I can't even get that small. Look what you're
Mm-hmm.
doing to yourself when you look at what Susie's doing. You're finding all the reasons. You're telling yourself the reasons why you can't book that job. That client just hasn't come to you yet. So you have to start talking about yourself in a positive way. You have to start going on social media. And maybe there is a venue that you want to work at. And here comes the woo woo, friends. So then you post, oh my gosh, I would look at this brand new venue. It's amazing. Which couple am I going to have the privilege of taking there and planning a wedding for? Let me know in the comments if you're ready to take a tour of this. Change that mindset of what everybody else is doing. And you don't want to do what everybody else is doing, friends. That is their journey. That is not yours. So if you have to listen to a book or you have to listen to a podcast, I want you to do those things. But I also want you to start getting in the practice of just start talking to yourself better. I
Yeah.
guarantee you every single day
Yeah.
you say something negative to yourself.
Yeah.
And this is hard because some of us are going through trials and tribulations that this mindset and motivation aren't going to cure. And I mean, you might be having a sickness or a mental illness or an addiction that you have to go through. But I also want our industry to understand that we have a hard time in our industry acknowledging that this is hard work and that this is a mental, emotional industry. And so you have to take care of yourself. And if that means you step away sometimes and you say no to more jobs, as long as you can survive and take care of yourself, I believe that in doing what you love, it should bring you profit, purpose, and joy. And you need to really have all three of those to find that success. But it's hard sometimes when you're struggling because you think if I reach out to an industry person, I'm going to look like I'm weak. And friends, the strongest thing you can do is ask for help. And if you are struggling, we used to gatekeep. Back in my day, friends, we gatekeep. We did not share. We didn't have Eddies and we didn't have all these other people that are doing this new tech stuff to help us. We just had to sit here and go, why am I not booking somebody? Why am I not busy? And you have to sit back and think, what about it is about me that they aren't hiring? And here comes that negative talk. Change your message, start talking to yourself positively, start putting out that message. So I think that if you need to find a book, and if there's atomics, there's Tim Ferriss talks about it. You can go and listen to all the big gurus if you need to. But bottom line is, inside this industry is a lot of people that want to help you. And we can't be so afraid to reach out and say, hey, can I take you to coffee? I'm struggling with this. I don't want to be just like you, but have you ever got to the point where you thought you wanted to leave this industry? Have you got to the point? What keeps you going? Ask about that somebody that is doing what you want to be doing, but you're not going to do it just like them. Reach out and ask that question instead of reaching out to planner saying, hey, can I be on your preferred vendor list? If you're struggling, that's not going to help you. But if you're struggling and you're not booking, it's your messaging. It's like if you have all these leads coming in, you don't have a lead problem, you have a booking problem, right? So you have to figure out how to get those people to say yes to you. Start saying yes to yourself. Start thinking about what you can change. What are you putting out there? And again, that's the woo-woo, but that's the fluff. But it goes back to, if you want people to say yes to you, you have to be willing to put yourself out there authentically and show up. And if you're having issues and something isn't working, then reach out to somebody in this industry and just say, hey, when you were first doing this, or when this was happening, did you have this roadblock? We all know the phrase that, most people can go around a rock, but few people can climb over a rock, right? So what can you do to change that? What can you do to start having a conversation? Start having those positive conversations. And I don't mean just that woo-woo pep talk. I mean, sit with somebody that can dive deep into why you think that. Because you're right, Eddie. The baggage we bring with us gets heavier and heavier and heavier because somebody one time told us we weren't worthy of what is supposed to be ours. And what's coming for you, friends, is coming from you. But you have a lot of baggage, and you need to learn that those are opportunities to learn from. But those are the triggers. And the minute a client says no to you, you go back 20, 10, 5 years of when somebody else said no to you. And as hard as it is, that next client will come along that's going to say yes to you, and watch the snowball effect. Then you start getting more and more yeses. And it's not always about money, friends. It's sometimes about how you appear to that client. what they see, their enthusiasm, their joy. Are you treating them like a number? Or are you treating them like somebody you really want to invest with? And are you showing up as the best person for the job? You've got to tell yourself all those things to make it work. It's hard and it's a struggle, and it will not solve all your problems. But survival for me, I knew that I was on my own. I had to do this by myself. I knew that I had to figure out a way to make it work. And that to me was telling myself that I'm the best person for the job. Every time somebody called me, I was going to be the best person for the job and give my best. But I also learned early on to say no if I could not be that best version, or I felt I wasn't the best version for them. But so it's having those hard conversations within that will help you move in this career and have a sustainable career and be profitable, have a purpose, and find joy. Because that's what this industry is about.
Yeah, it is. And just as a side note for folks, I think I mentioned this one already, which is What to Say When You Talk to Yourself by Shad
Yep.
Helmstetter. That's if you haven't read that, check it out. Similarly, I was just walking with my son again before his chest tournament. We re-listened to Earl Nightingale has a lecture on attitude. It's like a 13. That's the thing. YouTube is here, and I mentioned this where everybody is a different sort of learner. I think, like my mother-in-law, she learns through conversation. Like that's her thing. Like she will take somebody and just go right into the treasure trove of that person's, background and experience. And I've always been, I learn a lot from books and courses and stuff. So for anybody that's kind of looking to that, it's interesting, Bobbi. I really appreciate the disclaimer that you give, which is like, look, there are things, that mindset won't solve, say a physical ailment, whatever.
Right.
But I also have almost this like, and you're obviously exactly right about that. I have this sort of parallel voice though, like this counterpoint that's almost like mindset kind of has become to me everything. I know again, it's not, but it kind of is. I remember I was like I've been meditating since I was well, I guess for about 25 years now. And I remember I had this sort of moment that was like it'd be really hard to like capture, but like it was of all things, I was in a Kroger in a store at some point when I was working on my first startup company, and it just hit me in this very visceral, profound way. I was like, wait a minute, like everything out here is just a reflection of what's in here.
Yep.
And I know we kind of hear that, but like I really just felt it, like just very deeply in that moment. I'm just like all of my life circumstances, and then the add-on to that, the really powerful add-on is like, okay, the outer reality, be it your business success, your relationships, whatever, is ultimately a reflection, manifestation of what's inside. But the second really powerful thing is we control the inside. We don't control the outside directly, right? I don't have any control over what the temperature is, whether somebody's going to cut me off in traffic, if I'm planning a wedding and this or that. There are a lot of things that are beyond your control. But this one ultimate driver of our reality, which is our inner state, we're the boss in here. We're the only ones in here, whatever in here technically means. But like, you don't have to, even if somebody does cut you off in traffic, you don't have to get ticked off. That's the natural response for me. And I assume most people listening, but like you can choose to put your mind on these positive, abundant thoughts. And I just so believe what you're saying, Bobbi. If we can just keep those thoughts, and it may sound woo to people, but you know what? I'm too old to care. Like I'm not like I'm some old, but like I believe it. If you can keep your mind on a positive thought train, how can the outer world, because you bring that energy into meetings, you bring that energy into your client interactions. People can feel it. Like there's something you can feel when somebody.
I want to be around that energy. I want to be around. Oh my gosh, in a meeting. Thank you for sharing and jumping in with an idea. I love the energy. Well, the other thing is, like you also said, we grow. Think about when you first started your business, and you might have been sitting at a bar or sitting at a kitchen table, and you wrote down the name of your company. You said, you know what? When I grow up, I'm going to do this. Or you're sitting at a 9 to 5 and you're like, you know what? I'm tired of this 9 to 5. I think I want to work 365, 24/7. Let me start my own business. And you wrote down the name of your company. And then you were so excited to get your website going. And then you hit published. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh. And then all of a sudden, guess what? It became a job. And then one person told you no. or somebody said this. And then we watched the enthusiasm from that first writing go down. Just like confidence is a skill set that you may not have been born with. There are plenty of people where, especially athletes and actors and things like this, think that the norm that we consider confident. But you can learn confidence. Remember when you were first riding a bike? You just got on and took your training wheels off and you just kept going. Now, the older we get, it's harder to ride that bike. But that phrase, it's just like riding a bike. You won't forget how. You don't forget how, but now you're scared. And when you were that little kid that got on that bike, you didn't think about falling off and breaking your leg or scraping your knees. You just knew you wanted to be like everybody else and ride that bike, right? So now you want to be like everybody else, but now you have more to bring to the table. So you don't have to be like everybody else. You need to embrace what makes you FABBO. And FABBO stands for being focused, authentic, brave, bold, and open to opportunities. And that's what we all are to our core. We are those things. We just forget to let people know. So as we get older and our business changes and our plans change, so does our mindset and so does our confidence. And these are the tools in the toolbox that we need to pull out more often to use. Mindset, we forget about it. We let those things come in and we think, okay, I can't do that. Or if I do that, I'm cocky. Then we have this confidence. I can't be too confident because I'll be cocky. No, guess what? Put those together, build that strong foundation, show up authentically, share your story, be who you are, and you are the best person for this job when this client hires you. Assemble a team around you on the wedding day. I promise you, you'll have a lot less angst, a lot less, oh my gosh, that didn't go right. If you just start the day from the minute you hire that client all the way through that relationship to that day. Because when you get to that wedding day, you should be celebrating that you have a job that you love. People pay you to do this, and you get to not just have the good food and listen to the music and be in beautiful locations, but that somebody else believed in the power of what you know how to do and believed in your gifts. And you are finally on the day that you get to do all those things. Because the other days, as business owners, that that we're answering the phone, we're cleaning the toilets. We don't even get to do what our passion is. But we believe in ourselves enough that we keep this business open. Why do we let a client that says no or one negative thing? In this industry, we're so worried about getting that 5-star review. Show up and be the best for your client and move on. It's great if they want to write your review because everybody else can read about it. But the ultimate happens is that client hires you with what they see in you, with what they see when they finally meet you. Granted, they may read all those 5-star reviews and go, okay, I'm going to call you. But then you show up yourself. And if you show up whiny or in a bad mood, what's the result that you're going to get from that client? Because if you show up, that's what I'm saying. If you show up on the wedding day all cranky, get ready for everything else to fall apart. Because if that's how you're going to lead your team or lead yourself as a solo entrepreneur, what do you expect to happen? Instead of the worst case scenario, let's think about the best case scenario. Learn this skill set. Be confident. Don't let it grow away as you grow older, as your business grows. Know that your goals are going to change and what you want to do is going to change. But you deserve the life and a business that you're proud of. You deserve to have a legacy. Go with it with that mindset that what you do has a purpose. We all start a business to make money, but we also need to start a business to make an impact. And that impact can be on yourself and how you treat others and what you put out to the universe. The world needs you. This industry needs all these wonderful people that we have here, because without industry pros, there would not be an industry. We need the collective talents of all of us, and we have to be confident that we surround ourselves in this industry with people that make us better, because we're also elevating them. And that is mindset and confidence. 2 tools that you need to pull out of your toolbox every single day.
I love that, Bobbi. I had, as you were talking, there were 3 quick things that came to mind. One, just to echo and reaffirm what you're saying, I love Oprah Winfrey. I've listened to like a lot of her talks on YouTube, and she says something, and I've mentioned this on other podcasts. She's like, in her Oprah voice, she's like, it is law that what you put out is going to come back to you. And I just love that, because that's what we're talking about, that energy. Secondly, and thirdly, just 2 practical tips, because again, I know how tough this stuff is. And I love that you and I are kind of sharing things to really help people, because it's not like people are going to listen and be like, oh, really? I had no idea that being positive would help my life. Of course, right?
Exactly.
But like, we're going deeper here. Two just quick practical things that I would feel remiss in my duties if I got off, because I'm an entrepreneur. I've been fighting this fight myself with,
Right.
trying to be my best self and to have the most, like the mindset that's most conducive to success. So two quick thoughts. One, meditation for those that are, and this isn't even it's not even a religious thing at the end of the day. It's just
Right.
sitting, and I won't get into like the whole technique. And by all means, if you have thoughts about these when I'm done rattle them off, chime in. But just, something that's been helpful for me, it is systematically the same way that you go to the gym and work on benching or curling or running and building your endurance. Meditation, if practiced in a certain way, is the discipline of sitting and watching your mind. And when your mind deviates, as it will, it's going to start thinking about what you got to do. And I'm stressed about this or happy about that. You bring it back intentionally to a passage or to a mantra or to your breath. That simple practice, like when you practice something, you get better at it. So I
Right.
find that like very often now, just again, because I've been doing it for 25 years and it's not like some instant quick fix, but I'm very often like I'm watching what my mind is doing. And that's the first, quantum shift is like,
100%.
oh, I see that my mind is thinking negative stuff. And now the next thing, which may or may not happen, depending on how roiled the waters are, is to bring it back to a more positive centered place. So meditation, one thing that people, and we can post up in the show notes, but secondly, as you were talking, because I'm just like, how can we help? I'm like, gratitude is such
Yep.
an antidote to like negative thinking. If you can just stop and focus your mind on the countless blessings that you have, that energy that we're talking about, Bobbi, that we bring into every room with us, that we bring into every interaction, like that energy of gratitude, like it's impossible to be beating yourself up and simultaneously fully and earnestly feel the sensation of gratitude, so
100%.
meditation and gratitude, for what it's worth, those are helpful tools for me. I don't know
Well,
if
and
you have any
we're,
thoughts on those
well,
notes,
no,
Bobbi.
and we're in the service industry, which is a very emotional. We should be grateful that we get to deliver one
Absolutely.
happy day. I
Absolutely.
say often when I'm talking, even out of the industry, that as a wedding professional, there's one day, and I'm not talking about rehearsal dinner and the 3-day thing, but I'm saying the core of that one day. We don't know if there's somebody, those guests, that might be going through cancer treatment, or
That's
that
right.
might have just got this diagnosis, or might be going, hey, I'm going to lose my job tomorrow, and or somebody just passed away. The power of photography is that we capture those moments that are history. So everybody looks at a photo differently. And my job, and a photographer, we've done our job correctly. When they look at that, they remember how they felt and who they were with on that
Yeah.
day. So
Yeah.
on a wedding day, you on the wedding day team, whatever your role is, from the limo driver to the person that's handing out a program, to any whatever your role is, you're part of this couple's story. And on that day, we have the privilege to take everybody out of the real world and put
Yeah.
them in this bubble of love and support.
Yeah.
And they might be getting just as much love because they're around people and they're not talking about themselves. I don't have to tell you that I might be losing my job, or I don't have to talk one more time about how's cancer treatment going. I'm here to celebrate someone else. The privilege that we have for delivering a space for
Yeah.
everybody to gather
Beautiful.
and celebrate is a
Yeah.
privilege that we never should take for granted. But I
Yeah.
think in this industry, we get so caught up in the, well, that person pissed me off, or that person didn't do this, or that one person is going to make me get a bad review now. Remember your why. And even if your why is to support your family and your kids, that's your why. That's your
Yeah.
motivation. That's
Yeah.
your power. And again, as you said, we can learn to do these tools. We can learn to meditate. And when you don't meditate, I bet your day's off. You just feel that
Yeah.
something's missing. And
Yeah.
again, not sitting there saying, Eddie and I are not saying in this wedding industry, if you just be positive about yourself, you will have an amazing career. You still have to put the blood, sweat, and tears, friends. And there's going to be a lot more blood, sweat, and tears than there are going to be digits in your bank account. But if you treat people correctly and you treat from the heart and you lead from the heart and you treat people the way that you want to be treated, and you learn that you be grateful for every job and every person that hires you, and do the best that you can do, you will build a sustainable career that will support your family. Because when you do well, you can do good, and then you can give back and do more things. But you have got to start and be excited from the moment you wrote your business name down all the way through. And for every bump in the road, for every roadblock that you hit, and you're going to get a lot of doors slammed in your face. If you're an entrepreneur and your name is on the door and your name is writing a paycheck, whether it's even to you or to a team, you have to do what it takes to keep your business running. Be passionate, find that fuel, stay motivated, and let the momentum carry. You're going to have days and months where you don't make bills. It's life and a business. But imagine trying to find the joy in even those lower moments because your mind has set you up saying, it just wasn't the opportunity for me today. I know another one is coming along. What changes can I make to improve so that I get yes the next time? Instead of, oh my God, they didn't like me. Oh, look, so-and-so got something. No, the what if is, where am I supposed to be and who am I supposed to be to serve? I'm grateful for that opportunity. I'm here for when it needs to come. And you're ready. Because if you're ready and you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. And I really hope that that's what listeners take from here, that in order to elevate your business to go from point A to point B, it starts with you. You're that tool that needs to be worked on. It's that tool that you need to use. It will always come back to relying on yourself and what you believe that you can do and how you can best use your talents to serve others. You've got to believe in yourself, again, not from ego, not from cocky, but believe that you are meant for this moment and this moment is yours. By the same token, if you start getting burnt out and you are struggling, take a step back. Be brave enough in yourself and know the power that you have to control things aren't working. Take a step back and take a look. Redefine your messaging. Redefine what wasn't working and how you can improve it, not what you failed at. And friends, this is entrepreneurship and life. Fail first, fail fast, fail often. It's going to happen because you can't have a win if you don't have a fail, right? So just step back, but believing in yourself to the core and knowing that you're going to show up authentically yourself and be you. Stop trying to be somebody else's nine square. Stop trying to be on somebody else's journey. Don't be me. Don't be Eddie. But use the tools that we have. Use our experiences to help get you on the escalator so that you can get to where it is you want to go. But when you get there, be proud that you're here. And then, friends, guess what? The next goal is on the horizon for you, and you'll be better equipped to reach that goal and that next chapter, whatever it may be for you.
I love that, Bobbi. That's a really beautiful way to bring things together here. This time has just flown by. It's crazy. I wanted to ask you, there is a question for everybody that listens to our podcast. They know what's coming. I'm going to put you on the hot seat here for a sec, Bobbi. If you could pick one piece of advice out of all the things, and I know we've covered a lot here already, but if you could pick one piece of advice that you would share with our audience to help them as much as possible as they build their business, what would that one piece of advice be?
Very, very simple. Don't believe in your limits that somebody else puts on you. Believe in your limits that you put on yourself, but the limits are in how you're going to serve. The limits that you put on yourself and what you want to do, how you want to break those challenges and barriers. Don't let somebody else's opinion of you stop you from succeeding and getting what it is that you want, right? You may have to change paths. You may have to go left or right, but do not let somebody else's limits on what you know how to do stop you from going after what you want. If you're going to put limits on yourself, you put them on yourself for the limits. And when I use the word limits, it means the ways and the steps that you're going to go to build this career of yours. So step by step by step. This is the limit today. This is the action I take to get to this step. Now, here's the limit that we're on. Here's our limitations. What's the next action to get us to the next step? Be the one that's in charge of that power. Don't let somebody else tell you that you can't. Don't let somebody else tell you that you're not worthy. Don't let that noise come. There's enough noise in this world. Don't talk negative to yourself. Don't be somebody who's beating yourself up. There's enough people want to do that for yourself. Don't do it. Don't let somebody else's limitation or belief in you stop you from reaching your truest potential.
I love that, Bobbi. And I feel like that is the through line for the interview, is just believe in yourself. And that's a great place to leave it. Bobbi, if people want to connect with you, learn more about you, just reach out, like how can they get in touch?
Very simple, Amit. I'm on Instagram, which is very easy. It's Bobbi, Bobbi .Brinkman. So that's Bobbi.Brinkman. And my links are up there. You can sign up for it's a subscriber only podcast. It's my pep talks. So if you want me, come into yours 5 minutes or less every Wednesday. There's some other courses I have on there. I'm pretty much an all audio person, but I got some mindset courses on there. I've got some confident courses that are just in your listens. But the pep talk is a real good way for me to come into you, and you can go back and listen to them anytime you want. They have titles on them, so they're easy to find. So if you're driving in your car and you just came home from some wedding and somebody didn't believe in you, click on episode 5 and get 5 minutes of that reminder of why you're FABBO, right? Do that. So that's the easiest way. My speaking schedule is on my website. And if I'm out speaking, please come and see me. I'm headed to Denver. In the industry coming up, I'm headed to Denver, and I'm headed to, obviously Cater Source. I am MC. I will not be at Wedding MBA this year. I've been honored to take the role as MC for Association of Bridal Consultants at World of Weddings. So that will be in St. Louis this year. They just have to be on the same date, but I'm thrilled to be with them. But my speaking schedule's on there. I have a couple of sports places that I'm speaking with, some pro teams coming up. So if you're in that area, just come out and find me. And I'm very approachable. So come up. I love hearing your stories, like your mother-in-law. I want to hear your stories. I love the conversations. What makes you tick? Why do you believe in that? And just what makes you FABBO? I already know that you are. My gentle reminder is to remind you that you are. And you can be whatever you want to be on your terms and defined by you. So find me that way. It's pretty simple.
Love it, Bobbi. Well, on behalf of our Wedding Industry Insider podcast listeners and our whole Timeline Genius community, I just want to say thank you.
Thank you.
I love the energy and the love and the confidence that you're putting out and giving people, and just making our industry better. So thank you for doing what you do.
Thank you for doing what you do. I appreciate you, friends. Peace and gratitude.